So this is my place. It's every now and then that I'll show off. Hey, I'm actually making stuff every now and then. So I gotta set this up though because I don't have an exterior. I just went right into the interior, and there were some goals that I wanted to have with this place. One, I wanted to try out like a new concept of like pathing, and so I'll describe that as we go. But also, I wanted to cover a couple things. I wanted to have a cafe. I needed to have that like somewhere. But I also wanted to have like this kind of like very natural kind of climb and feel and a place that sort of tells a story. And so this is my attempt to do it. I don't know how successful this was. And I'll let you guys decide. Well, okay, I decided myself, but yeah, whatever. So as soon as we come in, we're met with, this sort of opening. Very rocky, very bright for some reason. Um, and we have like cave stuff ahead of us. We turn around and we have just brightness. There's no exits. I just decided, I'm just gonna come in from this just to indicate, yeah, this yes is definitely coming from the outside, and I'll just kind of leave that as some sort of like abstraction. So we go through. Greens are everywhere. Has this kind of feel of like, okay, not a lot of folks have been here. Spider webs kind of all over the place, but not really. Let me turn the lights down too, just to get the vibe right. Right. So we get like these sorts of contrasts. Very dark, but we're going through this spot. A little bit of light leaking through, and a little bit more. We see like a little bit of these these sun shafts coming in from the Tome of the Ancient Kings, right? So we're slowly making our way through. Find a sewer grate, go right through. Happen to notice this little Mesmerga right there, which I think is, I'm gonna say it's actually just a plushie, not an actual Murloc person, plus backpack. Okay. And then we run into like these ruins. You're right, the music needs to be off. Thanks, dude. There we go. And then we run into these like ruins kinds of places. So okay, we started from a cave. It kind of broke into, well, this kind of like dilapidated state. Like maybe there was a cave in, maybe there was a collapse of some sort. A little bit of evidence of life. We have some lighting over there. And we start coming out. More ruins, things are, overgrown, and, it's like, where do we go next? But then all of a sudden we realize, oh, we're outside. Oh, we're in a skybox. Okay. We look around and there's like this whole castle set up, or at least like a keep of some sort, but like with the growth like all over the place. Yeah, this kind of tells us, oh, this is like some sort of like abandoned area. So, it was some bastion of civilization at some point. Here's like the far shot. But at some point, everyone left or everyone was killed, something like that. Why? Where did they go? What happened? Maybe we'll find some evidence of that. Maybe not. But in the meantime, we just have like this sort of setup. Now, I made it so you can't really jump off, even if you try to. You're like, so I put up some barriers here to prevent folks from getting lost, because if you get dropped down there, you're like done. So we cross these parapets of sorts. We go off into the other side, into this kind of blasted open floor. Like this part is just totally collapsed. What was here? A little bit hard to tell. Some table work. We can see like, okay, there's some mugs over there. So maybe people were like hanging out here. Maybe it was like a small, like tiny bar of some sorts, or a meeting area. Who knows? So we make our way down through this blasted floor, and now we just run into ruins. Now it's just chaos in here. Floorboards are down. We see evidence of like more cave-in stuff, but it feels like we're underground, sort of. Or at least we're on like this first level. We go across, and now we go back. We enter, we kind of enter like the bottom of this keep. Again, ruins all over the place. Barely lights. There's barely any evidence of lights. Okay, maybe it's just magic lights. Maybe that's why. Oh, we're able to see where where we're going. Up above, we have like this low roof, but also like a whole lot of growth. You know, obviously it's really, really dark in here, and that's like the intent here. But things are being barely holding together. It's about to fall apart. I should probably just get a move on before anything like crazy happens. We go into this next room, and we're presented with this not skybox room, stairwell room. We go up one level, but it's just junk, total junk. You know, debris all over the place. Growth is like all over the spot. There's like a big old sun shaft that's coming through from like some hole in the ceiling or something like that. And we have no choice but to climb, because up there's some spotlights, right? So we're climbing up all this debris. Like there we were, and we're climbing up all of this. We're kind of pathed along up here, and now we can see like something is towards the top there. We get to the top of the climb, and now what? Now what do we have? Like, this is a very odd room compared to everything else that we saw, because now we see evidence of activity and life and such. And then all of a sudden, okay, now there's like this whole outdoor area, but we can't really go outside because I stopped you guys. No one can go out there. So this is just a big window, as far as I'm concerned. And so now what kind of story is being told here? You know, we see stuff being carted in or carted out. And I'm trying to send the message that no, things are being carted out. Like things are being emptied out. We wander into what appears to be a throne room of sorts. You know, one throne, no queen, or, you know, lady of the keep or whatever. Bunch of treasure on the side. And then suspiciously over here, we have a doorway that's been totally like blocked off. And so now we can kind of like speculate, okay, what did happen here? I'm not sure, but maybe there was like some sort of invasion. And then, you know, they blocked all this off, but things just didn't work out. And somehow, maybe the people escaped here, maybe not. I mean, there are coffins here, so perhaps, maybe not. And now the people here, they're, you know, the corpses, they were cleaned up, they're put into the coffins, and they're being carted away. You know, we can speculate something like that. So it's not telling like a very, not a complete story, but it's not telling like everything. We can kind of like speculate what's going on here. All right, so let's kind of like cut through, because we're not done yet. We still have like this hallway to go through. You know, and we're seeing evidence of, again, things being cleaned up. There's like plans being made. Tools are doing its thing. You know, barely lit up. Then we go through this shroud, and then now what? Now we're in a kitchen of sorts. A very sparse kitchen, right? We got coffee stuffs. Plenty of coffee stuffs. Other things to help mix stuff together. Some dishware. Not too much stuff, but we have, you know, the beginnings of some things to like start putting some things together, but not a whole lot of stuff. Then we come out here. And then here is the front. So we started in this like whole escape hole, abandoned keep sort of thing, and then we come out here into this cafe of sorts. Going through the kitchen, and now we can sort of explore like what it is that we have just been through, right? So starting with the bakery stuff, pies, delicious things, lots of stuff that's going to go. You know, here's like one of the cake. Here's like some, I don't know, maybe cake boxes, cookie boxes, but there's a lot of stuff that's going ready to get sold. A little bit of coffee stuff being made there on the side. Over here is the wine side. All wine, all sorts of stuff. All the dishware that you need to like get things going. And then upstairs, because there's some stairs being set up here on the side, just some storage. Just some stuff that's being laid out. No big deal. Okay, so let's get down from here. Right here on the side is, I tried to make you know, kind of something where like, okay, you want to get in line, cool, you get in line because you're making your orders or something like that. But then there's like just this kind of like retail shelf to just sell random knickknacks, statues, papers, giant Miss Murgle heads, whatever. Something like that. Also here, this stage. So it can be for whatever. It could be for singing. It could be for stand-up. You can have a band or something like that. Right now they just have like, you know, it's just set there for like someone to like sit, and like that's it. So like here's the further out shot of how that would look. Little bit artsy if you wanted to have like a solitary person like who's like standing here and they're like, you know, they're doing their thing. So it's gonna look, you know, a little bit like that. Yeah, happy with how the stage ended up looking. I like using the target enemies for like some of that stuff. And then of course, you know, you buy stuff, you're gonna sit, you're gonna hang, you're gonna, you know, do your stuff. Once you're done, you grab your cutlery, you toss it into the bin over there. If you're getting stuff to go, here's a place to like, you know, add your sugar and whatever, you know, throw out whatever trash or whatever extra trash that you have and all that. Right this way is some extra seating, you know, sparse lighting, pretty minimalistic over here, but I wanted to like add a little bit with like paintings, you know, add a little bit of color. And then we kind of come outside. So we got some outdoor seating set up, lots of greens to, you know, just kind of pretty things up. And then right outside, kind of a, I don't know, like a rivery, swampy area that I had set up. You know, wanted to kind of hide the illusions there. I ran out of budget, so there's a blank space there. But we can say that's an illusion of some sort. And that's what I did here too. I just kind of like, I did my best to kind of close off the space here, obscure as much as I could, to just give this sort of like, okay, this is a spot that's outside the cafe. That's fun. There is an upstairs too. You know, very narrow set that we made, you know, so I can like add a little bit more seating. Lots of paintings to close things off. And this overhead here happens to help add like a little bit of extra color, like while you're up here. You know, not exactly lighting, but like just, again, a little bit of color that I wanted to throw together. So I'm going to drop down. Boop. You saw a couple of bookshelves and whatnot to like grab stuff if you wanted to. And then finally, I dumped the rest of my budget into this. I wanted to make like this really gaudy street, right? You know, someone's going down like this rich neighborhood, and then what do they have? Golden statues along the street. It would have been cool if I just kept going with the golden statues, but you know, I definitely ran out of budget. So instead, I just wanted to have this whole arcing thing. You know, one goddess in the middle, everyone else, all the rabble below, who's like giving their support to her. And that's it. That's the build. So things that I learned for myself here is I was way too ambitious. You know, I was trying to do too much at once. If I wanted to do like a killer cafe, cool. I could have had the space to, you know, I could have torn down like all the ruins and stuff and just went nasty on the cafe stuff, with like tons of like little details, from the tabling to all that stuff to bigger outdoor stuff to like more things to add to this whole city street kind of feel, you know, because we come out, you know, as we're coming out, it has that sort of thing where we're like in a big city and we're going down into like the cafe area. And then we can see like there's like other buildings or like other stuff to the side, but you can't come out because I don't let you. So yeah, no going down this street. So for me, this is like one of the big takeaways. You can kind of see there's like evidence of the privacy screen, is controlling where people go. Helping to control where people go, it helps to set an illusion for yourself. So that way you can tell the kind of story, or at least give the kind of visual feast that you want to give to the viewers or the audience, by denying them like certain access. You know, like right here, I'm pretty happy with how this turned out, with the whole like setup of, okay, there's like stuff coming in or there's stuff going out, and you can see kind of there way in the distance like this drill that's actually pointed this way, so it's coming this way. So there's still stuff happening. You know, we're not done yet. The tentative title of this build is called Work in Progress, because we're in the middle of things. Like, this is a cafe that isn't exactly open yet, but it's like just getting its stuff together. And then obviously there's like all the ruins back there that need to be cleaned up and perhaps salvaged. So maybe the things that were here that you see in this spot, maybe it's stuff that came from the ruins. You know, so this is stuff that's like, okay, let me just like sell some of this stuff, recoup some of the losses from buying this place in the first place, and all that. You know, I thought that would be a fun way to put all that together. So overall happy with the build, but I definitely stretched myself thin because I put in, you know, from the start, I put in so much budget into like the start here, because there's like tons and tons of budget that's being used for like some of these smaller details. Lots of greens. I went crazy with the greens, with Orgrimmar beams. Like there's a wide use of that. And then so you're asking, how did I go from the skybox room to the other side? So here's what I did. So when we start the build, and there's a lot of distance I'm covering too. I'm like moving a lot. Okay, so from here, from this spot right here, almost precisely, like we're going through like the start, and it's around here, around this spot, we enter the skybox room. Actually, let me I think I can go into the floor plan like here. Yeah, so here I'm in a closet space, right? And then all of a sudden I hit the skybox room at this point. So here's where I enter. And you can easily tell, because remember, the lighting here is set to unnatural dark. Actually, let me double check that it didn't like reset or something like that. Okay, it did reset. Great. So you can kind of tell, because all of a sudden it's like bright there, because it's a daylight room. And so that doesn't obey all the rules of unnatural dark. So here's where I am outside now. And so I come out. And now you can see I'm on one side of the skybox room. So I'm effectively crossing over to the other side of the skybox room, right? And then we drop down. So note my orientation. We're going through a different direction, and then now we're making our way back inside. So here's the other side of the entrance, basically. And then now you can see the contrast. Here it's like really bright, there it's really dark. That's where we basically re-enter the house. Well, you know, leave the skybox room. So now we are back in here. So the build starts here. We go across, go around this side, right? And then we go here, we go across, re-enter, loop our way back around. And now I'm here, right on the other side. So like you can see the greens there, and you can see like stuff on the other side. So here I am on this side. So now we're back here. And oh, I didn't realize that going into the room makeup thing resets the lighting. Ah, interesting. Today I learned. So this room was definitely a challenge too, because I wanted to give off a really good illusion of just junk that's being laid down here. And it was harder than I thought to put together, because, you know, everything just kind of like fuses together. So I wanted to have like a very convincing climb, but also I wanted to not fall in. There's like so many opportunities. There were so many opportunities to like fall in somewhere and then get lost. So I wanted to have what was basically, you know, a very basic climb, but it needed to look convincing. Otherwise, I'm just kind of like jumping up platforms, and I didn't want to do that. That would look like really like fake looking and all that. So yeah, it's a double wide door and you use half of it. Yeah, that was the goal with this sort of spot. I wanted to have something here that felt more gruesome. Like I wanted to, you know, if it'd be awesome if one day we can have like skeletons, bones, things like that. Because then I would just have like, okay, a skeletal person who's sitting on the chair. That would have been a cool vibe to set up. So those sorts of assets, like those aren't a thing, unfortunately. So I wanted to have a bit more of a convincing throne room, and I actually wanted to tell a bit more of a story, but I just ran out of space too. Um, like I wanted to have like a kitchen that was totally emptied out, so I wanted to give the illusion of like, okay, people starved in here, and that's why, and that's how the story ended for the people who had lived here once. And then the escape hatch, you saw like the Murgle in the backpack. That was like some evidence of like, one small child that had to like leave stuff behind, but they did make it through because they were close to like that whole exit escape hatch sort of thing. So it's kind of a sad story of like what happened here, but then we turn things around. Then we turn things around and we turn into something else. The place is, in the process of being like, stuff is being sold or looted or whatnot, and then things are being sold like here. So like, we can say that, oh, why are there so many paintings? Oh, it's because we just grab all that stuff from the ruins and everything. So it's like it's a bit of a mix of like old and new things. So yeah, this was fun. A lot of things that I learned about basic stuff. Like I've seen lots of like great places. But as for like my personal experience, while I've seen a lot of places, applying all that into things that I want to put together, I gotta have more hands-on experience really if I want to, feel like really skilled with like the stuff that I put together. But at some point, sooner than later, I'm gonna do a teardown on this thing and do like a whole project house instead. So it's just going to be like a series of like smaller things. Because I think one big takeaway for me is less is more. I think I would prefer to, there are builds that we've seen where you have like a crazy build that's built into just like one skybox room or something like that. I don't want to do anything crazy like that. That's like a really big scale. But I think what I would like to do is to just have like small rooms, tiny rooms, things like that, and then explore, like try out different concepts, building techniques, or just like themes that I think are fun. Because I think that'd be cool.